So I want to show you an example of working through a problem that's similar to one of your homework problems, and just show you a couple of the challenges that you might meet along the way and some of the ways you can cope with them. So the assignment I have is to write a function which retrieves the user's name from an input and outputs a greeting to the user. Okay, kind of generic, but similar to one you have. And so this is the HTML that I've written. This is mainly copied from the template that I have, similar to the third file you're supposed to turn in this week, so you don't have to start from scratch every week. And this is what the web page looks like that this HTML generates. And so the first thing you do when you're working in code like this is you hit the F12 key. And that brings up this display, which is called the debugger. And the debugger shows you your code here, and it shows you certain errors here that may be caused by your code. And you'll notice that the colors here, the comment's green, and in my editor it's red, and your editor it may be a different color entirely. It's not so much the exact color that matters as getting used to seeing these colors. And so if the colors are wrong, it'll kind of give you a hint that you're doing something wrong. So in this case, what I usually do is I start off just with the basic skeleton like this and try it to make sure it runs. And I click and I get this error message down here. Uncaught reference error, greet is not defined at HTML button element dot onClick name HTML13. Okay, that's a whole bunch of stuff. The important thing, first off, is the line number, line 13. And so if you go to line 13, you can see that this is the line it was executing when it had the problem. Now this makes a little more sense. It says greet is not defined. That's the part of this error that's meaningful to you. So I'm calling the function greet here, but you'll notice I actually named my function greeting, and that's why it says greet is undefined. And so these two names need to match, and I'll just change this one so it matches greet and greet. Now I reload, enter my name, and click, and no error. Nothing happened either because I haven't written anything in the function. There's another error that you might make. Let's suppose you wanted to name your function greet me like that. Now it turns out you can't have a space in a function name, and you'll notice that the me is a different color than greet, so it's trying to warn me about that, but there's no error message yet. But as soon as I reload over here, you'll see, it gives me this red wavy line here, unexpected identifier, line 6, and so even without the red line here, you can see you're supposed to be on line 6, which is this line, and it's trying to tell me that that space there is illegal. Now this is a funny way of saying it, but that's what it's trying to tell me. And so if I really wanted to name it greet me, what we usually do, you can't have a space, and so you capitalize each word after the first one, and that allows you to see that it's greet me, and you'll get used to seeing function names like this. So again, write it out, reload, no error message. I can put my name in there, and I can click, and nothing happens because I still haven't written anything inside here. Typically, the first thing I do is I just put an alert function in there, because even without the debugger, that'll allow me to see if I'm calling my function correctly. All right, so I reload, put my name in, and I click John, and it says made it to here. And so that way I know that this call is matched up to this definition, and it is executing this code. All right, so now let's see if we can write what we're supposed to have here. So let username, so that creates a variable named username, and you'll notice once again I've capitalized the second word because I can't have a space in the middle of the username. And it's going to be document.getElement by ID, and we need the ID of this input here, which is this box. The ID is input, since I'm so imaginative on naming my variables and things. And once I've done that, then I want to get the value of it. And again, since I've made a typing error, but perhaps I didn't notice it, we'll test it right now. So we reload, put in John. You'll notice there's no error on the reload. But when I click, I get this error message. Get element by ID is not a function on line 8, and I'm on line 8, and indeed I've misspelled get element by ID. And so this has to be spelled exactly right. Write it out, reload, enter my name, well, and click. No error message. Nothing happened, but no error message. Okay, good. Now I want to say let greeting, so this is what I'm supposed to output, right? Equals hello plus username plus have a nice day. Okay, so that's the greeting I was supposed to output. I didn't say it in my assignment. Hello, username, have a nice day. And then I'm going to say, now notice something that happened here. I may not have noticed, but everything here has changed to this purplish color. And when I hit enter, instead of my cursor coming back to here, it went clear over to the left-hand side. My editor is trying to tell me that I've made a mistake, all right? And if I were to reload this, I would get invalid or unexpected token on line 9, and line 9 is this one right here, and that still doesn't tell me much of what's going on, but I can see this red squiggly here. What's happened is I started this string with a double quote, and it's probably hard to see because it's probably blurry enough that doesn't show up clearly, but I've got a double quote there, and I've got a single quote here. So my editor is trying to tell me that string didn't get terminated correctly. And so if I put a double quote there, everything turns back to the correct colors here. And if I go to the next line, it now comes back to even with let. And so now I can say document.getElementById, and my editor completes that because I've typed it previously. And I want this to go into my output. So I'll copy and paste that just to make life easier because I'm a lousy typist. And copying code within the file keeps me from making typing mistakes. Equals greeting. And so that should be my whole function. And I write it out, and I reload, and I enter my name, John, and I click, and it says, hello, John, have a nice day. And you'll notice there's no errors here. I got the output that I wanted, and I should be pretty happy. So hopefully that gives you a little insight into going about developing your first program. Gives you some hints about using the debugger, F12, to help you find errors. And this will become very important as the semester goes along, so I highly encourage you to play with the debugger. I also showed you how the colors in your editor try to help you see when there's been an error. And I showed you how I go line by line to make sure each line works correctly. Thanks for watching.